say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we thank each and every one of you again individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and for offering us the gift of allowing us to experience each and every one of you in this way. We also thank you very much for your birthday wishes. It is, in that sense, heartfelt and felt deeply within our hearts. So we thank you. The idea, of course, is that the date that you call 11/11 simply is the date that corresponds to what you would call our date of birth and our own reality, but we don't have the same kind of calendars that you do. Thus, then, it is simply the idea of that which matches up in parallel with the sequence of days on your world. But even though we have in our world a similar length of day of what you call approximately 24 of your hours, we are farther from our star. Our year is longer and would be what you would call approximately 454 days in our orbit. The idea is that I was born in what we would consider to be the 55th day of our new year, in what you would approximately recognize as the year 3197 in our understanding of time. But our reality dimension operates on a frequency that is 10 times faster than yours. Thus then, the idea of the parallel date simply is that which is representative of the energy signature of connection between different levels and goes hand in hand with our calling as a contact specialist, in that we contact many different civilizations and form connections from one civilization to another, one level to another. And thus then exploring this energy today with you of the gateway that you yourself are going through, not only towards contact with us and other civilizations, but primarily for now going towards more contact with more of yourselves within your own consciousness. We will thus then be exemplifying the idea of that vibration of the gateway, of the opening of doorways, so that you can allow for your own energy to accelerate and for you to harmonize with that vibration of contact, both in an external and an internal fashion, so that the accelerated energies now, as you say, coming down the line as you cross this threshold of tipping the scales, going forward in your reality, shifting and shifting and shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality, you can thus then, by opening this gate and using this energy, form a direction for yourselves, like a compass needle, like a magnet, to attract yourselves more strongly to the vibrational resonances and harmonies that are representative of the reality you say you prefer, so that while you are shifting from parallel world to parallel world billions of times per second, you can allow that vibration to guide you unerringly in a more expansive way toward a sequence of realities that are more in keeping with the kind of world that you say you prefer to experience, so that you can exhibit within yourself those kinds of changes necessary to see the reflections in the outer world that are more representative of who you prefer to be and the kind of world that you prefer to create your experience of physical reality to be. Let us explore a little bit this vibration of 11-11-11, now that it is compounded in this way, reinforcing itself, in a sense, exponentially, reflectively. As has already been mentioned, the idea of the 11s acts as a reflective concept, reflective energy. And since physical reality is nothing really but a reflection of the energy that you give off, the vibration that you put out, it is appropriate as a symbolic permission slip to allow yourselves to amplify these reflections in a variety of particular ways. We will, this day of your time in this transmission, provide you with a couple of different permission slip meditations, permission slip exercises to aid and assist you in playing with this energy and opening up these gates in a new and different way and creating new perspectives within your consciousness that we, shall we say, ought to bring a little bit more fun in your lives. We will get to that in a few moments. The idea, however, is that, again, as has already again been mentioned, in our ancient language, which we no longer use, the word Ili represents the idea of the mirror, of the reflection, and is actually structured as such. Spelled in your language as I-L-L-I. The idea thus being that as you begin to realize that everything is a reflection, as you begin to concretize this concept within your consciousness more and more, your perceptions of physical reality will begin to change. You'll begin to truly experience many things in a reflective way as other versions, other aspects of yourself, of your own consciousness, as true reflections, giving you feedback in a variety of specific vibratory ways to the things that are going on within your personality structure, your belief systems, your emotions, your thought patterns, your behaviors. As you begin to see physical reality as a reflection, it will start to resonate in different ways within the personality structure of your beliefs, of your emotions, of your thoughts and behaviors. And as it resonates, as it vibrates, those components of the personality structure, it will bring to the forefront in a more obvious way, in a more apparent way, in a clearer way, anything within your vibration that is not the frequency that you prefer, bringing it to the forefront of your consciousness from the unconscious mind, and allowing you more opportunity to deal with it, to integrate it, to blend with it, to allow it to transform in ways that will allow that energy to be part of, to join the rest of the energy within your being that is more representative of becoming more of your true self and creating a more reflective reality of that true self. There are many ways that this idea has been described, has been experienced from time to time in your reality. This idea of the 1111 has been experienced vibrationally in many different ways. Energetically, electromagnetically, physically, acoustically, musically, in a variety of ways has this been experienced throughout your history by individuals who understand its resonant power to reflect and amplify a particular and specific vibration that is representative of opening up to new dimensions of experience. The willingness. Look at the middle of the word. Willing. I-L-L-I. The willingness to open up to new reflections. There are no accidents in the structure of your language in this way. Everything is an orchestration of consciousness. And as you express this willingness to open up, more and more of this vibration will seep in to your being. More and more of this signature frequency will leak out of your being, resonate into the world, into the reflection, and bounce back in many different forms, in many different ways that give you more of an opportunity to understand and recognize who you truly are and to fine-tune and design who you truly wish to be. Now, the idea also is that the 11s are parallel lines, and this is also a reflection of the idea of shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality. The idea, as we have explained it a few times already, is that you are already shifting from parallel Earth to parallel Earth billions, literally billions of times per second, so smoothly you don't even know you're doing it. So the idea is that you don't have to learn to shift. The idea is that you simply need to awaken to the vibration that you prefer so that you guide yourself in these shifts that go on automatically within you from world to world, parallel reality to parallel reality, in such a manner as to allow for a sequence of experiences of different parallel realities that are more in the direction, more in the reflective direction you prefer to experience your world to be. But remember, each and every distinct parallel reality has no change within it. Change, what you call any kind of change itself, is the experience of shifting from one static parallel reality to another, like jumping from one frame of film to another. Each frame has no motion. But the next frame is a little different, and the next a little different, and the next a little different. So that as you move the light of the projector through the frames or move the frames in front of the projector light, you are thus then, like your consciousness, beaming a sequence of parallel realities into your consciousness, flowing through them or allowing them to flow through you in such a manner as to create the effect and the illusion, the sensation and the experience you call movement and change. But you never actually change any particular reality. You only change yourself. But as you change yourself, you have the experience of transformation, the experience of change going on within your consciousness. So, focusing on the idea of the 11-11-11 vibration as a way of connecting to parallel lines, parallel world, parallel realities, more strongly, more concretely, with that resonant frequency, you can thus use it as a guide, as a wave guide, in a sense, of parallel lines that will vibrate at a certain pitch that will represent the hallway you actually prefer to move down, to move through. And thus then, by instilling and infusing that particular pitch, that particular resonance in that waveguide hallway, in that channel, in that conduit, you can thus then allow yourself to be carried on that wave, effortlessly, joyfully down that hallway, down that tube, down that conduit, so that you will not have to expend the idea of pain and strife and struggle, but can experience challenges in an exciting and joyful way. There are any number of ways that this idea of 11-11-11 are being expressed and experienced in the apparent changes now going on, in the shifting that is going on from parallel world to parallel world in your reality experience. There are many different shifts going on, as you know, and one of the strongest ones you are seeing on your planet is the idea of individuals expressing, finally, after many thousands of years, expressing the notion of self-empowerment, of not handing your power and giving your power away, but taking it back, standing tall in a sense, having a voice in a sense, and expressing your truth in a sense, about what you believe is important as a representation of the kind of world, the kind of political, the kind of social, the kind of religious, the kind of ideas you wish to experience in your world. And thus then you are seeing on your planet many demonstrations of individuals expressing the idea that it is time to shift the power base from the few to the many, so that you can thus then be self-empowered individuals, and thus by being fully self-empowered individuals work harmoniously together with other self-empowered individuals, because when everyone is truly the fullest individual they can be, that's when you get true unity and harmony on your planet. It is not the idea of becoming homogeneous that creates unity. It is the idea of truly being the unique individual you were created to be. Thus then, by being that individual fully, you contain the vibratory frequencies, you contain the inspirations, you contain the imaginings necessary to allow you to see how it is that your place fits, that your piece fits automatically with every other piece also being their true selves. Just like all the puzzle pieces in the big picture are made to fit together to make the big picture. If you try to be a shape you're not, you won't fit. But if you are the shape you were created to be, you fit with all the other pieces beautifully and create the big picture that supports all of you. So you create the big picture, and the big picture creates the pieces. They support each other in a synergistic way. And again, this is another symbol and expression of the idea of these parallel lines, because not only do they function this way, they function this way. As above, so below. The idea that we will be expressing in tomorrow night's transmission of the 9 levels of consciousness will explain in great detail the idea of how all these levels, these parallel levels of consciousness that you have created yourself to be, work in conjunction with one another, how they relate to one another, how they exchange energy with one another in such a fashion as to connect you to all that is, while at the same time connecting you to the experience and grounding you to the experience you call physical reality. We will explain very clearly how to use all these levels in parallel in such a manner as to gain great effectiveness with all the other tools we have also shared with you over time. But now the idea right now that is going on your planet is again expressed in many different codes, in many different forms, in many different ways, even unto the idea of certain ancient texts that you have. It is expressed in this way as a precursor to the vibration that many individuals knew was to come. Even though there have been to some degree misinterpretations of many of your ancient texts, the ideas can be clearly seen for when certain events actually happen in your world. You can see exactly how they correspond, how they line up, how they parallel certain comments, certain sayings, certain paragraphs in some of your ancient texts. Using, just as one example, the idea you call your Bible, even though many people have interpreted many of the things within that particular document in ways that are not necessarily, shall we say, as direct as was the original intention of the delivery, you can still see certain patterns that are reflective of what's going on now on your planet. For if you are willing to take what you would call the 11th book of your Bible, which is the book called Kings, and go to the 11th paragraph and the 11th line, 11, 11, 11, you will find that it is talking specifically about the idea of the transfer of power from kings to the people. For that's what's going on right now on your planet. Kings are falling. The people are rising. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form meant in a negative fashion. It is not the idea of us versus them. It is the idea of understanding the timing of these things and the idea of the urging in a loving way. The urging in a loving way for those individuals that you have given your power over to, that it is now time for them to give that power back. Not in the sense that they are losing power, but they are actually gaining more power as an individual harmoniously aligned with all the other individuals, who thus then will represent a harmonious whole that will support everyone in totality. Time to give up the idea of lack, the idea of loss, the idea that there is not enough for everyone who is, in that sense, their true selves, their specific vibration, will attract into their lives exactly what they need, and not all of you need the same things. Not all of you will have the same kinds of reflections. But when you are your true selves, all the things that you do attract to yourselves will be exactly what you need and exactly what will fit with everything everyone else needs to attract to themselves as well. And when thus then on our Sunday time, we talk about the idea of the laws of attraction and repulsion, we will go into greater detail about this particular kind of permission slip, this particular kind of tool, and how you can use it very strongly and very effectively to let go of vibrational beliefs that are not yours and to attract those that are. So this 11-11-11 gateway will open you up to many different kinds of ways of looking at things, many different kinds of opportunities for you to utilize, to incorporate, to integrate, to infuse within your consciousness so that you can flow down that waveguide, flow down that channel, flow down that hallway of life in a joyful, creative way where you face any challenges that arise from creativity and from the knowledge that those challenges are simply there to allow you to grow as a spirit, as a soul, as a being in the way that you chose to explore. Your themes of exploration always reveal themselves in the challenges that arise in your life. That's what the challenges are, exposing the themes you chose to explore in this life. by using the idea of the energy of reflection and the 11-11-11 symbology and the vibration that is attendant to it, you will amplify and magnify your ability to deal with these challenges in a very effective and very creative way, so that they become something that is an experience of joy, so that you are willing to invite them in, so that you can transform them and amplify and magnify and accelerate your energy and thus match the frequency of the threshold crossing that is represented by your year of 2012. Because remember, that crossing is simply literally the leading edge of your consciousness piling up on itself, catching up to itself, and bursting forth across that threshold to tip the scales, so that before that time frame, it is representative of the idea of having slightly more negative energy on your earth in totality. But after that threshold, after that crossing and the tipping of the scales, it is representative of finally having slightly more positive energy on your planet than negative. And that energy can snowball, as you say, and accelerate, and you can build on it. But you must match that frequency. You must catch up to that wave. You must ride that wave across the threshold in order for it to be most efficiently effective for you in your lives. So allow yourselves to let go. Be willing to open up to the idea of reflection as a joyful experience, as a creative challenge, as part of your path rather than an obstacle in it. There is no such thing as an impediment or an obstacle if you don't define it that way. So allow yourself the opportunity to relax, to begin to relax your definitions, to apply new definitions that are more representative of what you prefer your reality experience to be. Because when you do that, you are thus then taking full control of your self-empowerment in the fashion you were created by creation to be, and thus then giving meaning to the things in your life, which is what you were designed to do. For in that sense, without you, life has no meaning. You are designed to give life meaning. That is your gift. And thus then, by giving it the meaning that is more in harmony with who it is you prefer to be, you will have the reflections that follow suit. But again, remember, it does not matter that the outside world appears to change. It only matters that you change your relationship to the outside reflection. That is true change. Don't look for the idea of validation in the idea of change by looking in the reflection. Feel the experience of validation within you by simply knowing that no matter what happens and no matter how it looks, it must serve you in a positive way. And when you relate to reality and everything that happens in it, no matter how it looks, from that particular perspective, then you will be truly using the gateway power. You will open up that gateway conduit and ride that wave through that experience, passing that experience through yourself in such a manner as to cause resonant harmonics to build up within your personality structure and reveal to you all the things you need to know to integrate these energies as they come up to your attention. It is all about resonance. 1111 is like parallel tuning forks, vibrating in harmonic resonance, amplifying back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, building up, building up, building up, building up, powerful, 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 exponentially. Thus then, by amplifying yourself in this way, like two antennas resonating back and forth with one another, like two tuning forks resonating back and forth and amping each other up, you will allow yourself to feel the ease with which you can move through life as life moves through you. Do you all understand? Yes. All right. Now, we will, as we said, be sharing a couple of new tools with you this day of your time in this transmission. We will offer you one experience, one version of this tool now, and we will offer you one a little bit later on in this transmission, in harmony and in sync with some light and sound vibrations. But first, allow yourselves to simply become very comfortable, relax, and open up the conduit of your imagination, which is the communication conduit to your higher mind. And in relaxing, Allow yourself to image what we are about to say in your mind's eye. Now, imagine that you have a mirror. It can be large, small, separate from a wall. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you have the ability to look into this mirror, as long as the mirror has some kind of an edge. And imagine, thus then, that you are writing the number 11 on a piece of paper or any other medium that you wish, and you are thus placing this 11 in front of the mirror in such a manner that you can see both the one you've written on the paper and its reflection in the mirror, so that the paper and the reflection together show 11:11. Thus then, once you have done that, allow yourself thus then to focus on this 11:11. Part in your reality, part in the mirror's reality. And allow yourself to feel vibrations. Whatever the idea of the number of 11, whatever resonance you find works for you in your imagination, imbue and infuse the idea of the 11 on the paper with that frequency, and allow yourself to also imagine that the reflection in the mirror is also vibrating at that frequency. As you imagine that the vibratory frequency passes from the paper into the reflection in the mirror, you can also begin to imagine that the mirror itself is starting to vibrate at that frequency. And as you begin to imagine that the mirror itself is vibrating at that frequency, you can recognize that all it's doing is reflecting to you the frequency that is going on in your reality outside the mirror. So you have created a kind of vibratory feedback loop. The vibration in your reality, the vibration of the 11 on the paper, transferring to the reflection of the paper in the mirror, transferring to the mirror, which reflects back to you the same vibration. Round and round and round and round in a kind of a circular way. Just allow yourself to sit with this vibration, to sit in this vibration for a moment in your imagination and just feel it coursing through you. A nice, gentle, vibratory hum. Now, I am going to ask you to think about this mirror, to view this mirror in a different way than you normally view the idea of a mirror. We have talked about the idea of parallel realities. I am asking you now to do the following thing in your imagination. Imagine, if you are willing, to see the mirror not as a reflective surface of your reality, but see it as a window into an actual, real, parallel reality that exists at the same time as yours, in which there is an identical version of you doing exactly the same things you're doing at the same time. Look through it like a clear piece of glass that is not your reflection. It's another version of you in another reality looking back at you, doing exactly the same things at the same time, because these are parallel realities. Start to let this idea sink in, that you're actually looking through a window, through a gateway, through an opening into an actual parallel reality with another version of you that just happens to be doing exactly the same things you are doing simultaneously. So if you touch your nose, so will that version of you in that reality. But it's not a reflection. They're just doing the same things at the same time and looking at you as if you are their reflection in their mirror. But as you begin to allow this concept that you're looking through a window instead of into a mirror to sink in, you can begin doing different things to watch the other you in the other reality that is a true autonomous being in its own reality, his or her reality. You can begin to do different things, touch your nose, touch your ear, touch your eye, make different faces, make different signs and symbols, and watch that version of you also doing the same things at the same time, because they, from their point of view, are doing those things in their mind first. And just watching you as the parallel reality to them, mimicking the same things at the same time, because you are their parallel reality. You are their reflection. Allow this idea to become more and more concrete, more real. Truly, truly, that is another person. Truly, truly, they just happen to be doing exactly what you're doing at the same time. Now, as you continue to do this, and as you continue to watch your parallel reality counterpart apparently choosing to do the same things at the same time that you are choosing to do them, now let your imagination create just one small, subtle, surprising difference. Maybe you touch your nose and maybe they touch their eye. Something is just slightly different than it was before. And you catch it. You catch the difference and you stop and you feel the shock wave go through you that this is truly a different reality, that the reflection is no longer identical. Similar, but not the same. And now you begin to amplify the idea that this is truly another person in another reality looking at you with what appears to be the same face, but it isn't yours, it's theirs. As you begin to experience more and more and more of the idea that they're doing things slightly differently than you, those differences can become more magnified. The lines, the parallel lines, in a sense, can begin to widen and diverge. So that even as you are watching, you are shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality to parallel reality, seeing different parallel realities through that glass, through that window, and seeing the subtle differences and then the greater differences that are happening in that world from yours. And you can even see the look of astonishment and surprise on the face of your parallel counterparts as they recognize that you are no longer their reflection, but a true being in another reality doing something that is similar but different from what they are doing. And you can begin to truly relate to one another as different aspects of the same soul, but in different realities, experiencing things somewhat simultaneously, somewhat similarly, but not the same. Thus then, as you create more and more differences, you can begin to realize that what you can do is send the vibratory energy of the 1111 gate into this scenario so that you are one of the ones in the 11 and he and she is one of the ones so that you each become the 11. One of the ones in the 11. You become each a tuning fork, each a parallel line to each other, and you resonate to each other in such a manner that as you send these waves back and forth through the window, back and forth to each other, you build up this energy in such a fashion that you can each start to imagine the reality you wish to see, you desire to see, you prefer to see yourself in that reality, in that parallel world. Build up this image, change this image, visualize this image of that parallel reality shifting to the ideal reality you prefer. See all the things happening in that reality through that window that are representative of the reality you prefer to experience and seeing yourself in that reality through the auspices of this identical partner you have now created in this simultaneously coexisting parallel version of yourself in that reality, who is seeing the same things in you, seeing the realities they prefer. And as you allow yourself to allow the reality on the other side of the glass to become exactly representative, precisely representative of that reality you prefer to experience, and knowing that at the same time they are doing the same thing for themselves, feel the vibration of the 1111 gateway amplifying, connecting you, locking you together. Feel it magnify and amplify to a great degree the energy of excitement, the energy, the thrill of seeing that reality being lived knowing it is real. And feel the vibrations for that reality and your reality now approaching the glass, approaching the glass, approaching the glass until the glass vibrates and resonates. And then the vibrations from one reality to another cross. And you are hit with the frequency of that reality, and that version of you is hit with the frequency of their ideal reality on your side of the glass. And you exchange instantaneously those vibrations, those realities. Let them sink in. And as the vibrations once again settle down, harmonize, you go back to the idea of seeing the glass as a mirror, seeing it be a reflection, an actual reflection that is now a reflection of the ideal reality with you in it. It is truly your reflection, your reality, your vibration, harmonized, synchronized, locked as one parallel reality stream. Even as you know that your counterpart is now experiencing exactly the same thing on their side for their ideal reality vibration. And you have assisted each other, worked with a parallel reality counterpart to assist each other in strengthening, amplifying, magnifying, and locking in the vibration of the reality you prefer and doing the same for them. And let that vibration now be your vibration. Let it become familiar as your vibration. Let the reflection be your reality. Let it be a reflection of the true you. And look back down at the 11 reflection and the paper 11. And know that anytime you wish, as you pick up the paper with the 11 on it, and see yourself holding that 11 in the reflection of the mirror that reflects your new reality, anytime you wish, you can avail yourself of this permission slip, this tool, this exchange. Anytime you wish to fine-tune, refine, any idea of better harmonization with that reality of your preference, you can always, once again, use that as the phone number of the parallel reality of your counterpart. Place it next to the mirror so you can see the 1111 in the reflection, and dial the number up once again, and know unerringly that your counterpart will always be there on the other side of the glass, on the other side of the window, because they're doing exactly the same thing at the same time, because they're there to help you as you are there to help them. And this is one way to allow yourself truly to experience the idea of cross-connecting energies between parallel reality selves to aid and assist each other in really truly becoming more and more of who you wish to be, who you prefer to be. This is one way to truly amplify, magnify, and lock in a relationship with yourself, a relationship of reflection, a relationship of willingness to be more and more of who you are by being of service to other counterparts and allowing them to become more and more of who they are at the same time. Take a deep breath in and lock this 11 energy within yourselves. It is yours to use. You are, in that sense, constantly shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality. You are parallel reality beings. That is your nature. You don't have to learn how to do it. You do it automatically. You just need to learn to guide it in the direction of your preferential vibration. It's as simple as that. Now, as we say later on in this transmission, we will use another variation of this particular permission slip exercise and create a slightly different kind of relationship, but we will surprise you with that later. In return for the gift that you are giving us in resonating with us in this gateway, this day of your time, we will thus then ask, in what way may we now be of service to you from our parallel reality to yours? You may begin with your interactions and questions if you so desire, and if you are willing.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I honestly have no idea why I'm up here.
Obviously.
I didn't put my name down. I really didn't.
Well, obviously you did on some level.
Okay. So...
Unless you are taking someone else's place.
No, unless there's another Lauren Bristow here. No? Okay.
Do you have a question or something you would like to discuss?
So this is the first time that I've actually seen you and really paid attention to you. Okay.
What a synchronicity. This is the first time we paid attention to you. What are the odds
Well,
of
yeah.
paying attention to each other for the very first time at the same time? Amazing.
It was kind of crazy. Everything that you said, it was kind of, you were in my head. And
Yes.
I was talking to my boyfriend about stuff last night, about things
Yes.
with me, and you just covered everything.
Yes. Synchronicity.
Yes, we're in sync, apparently.
Yes. And therefore, this is a reflection of the fact of what we have said. When you speak with us, what you're actually speaking to is your own higher mind, using us as, well, an excuse to let it be all right to do so.
Okay.
So, we are here to simply reinforce the idea that everything you heard was coming from you. And that all of you have the ability to take all this information and access all this information for yourselves. We are happy to be a reflective symbol, but we don't have to be. You all have connection to source and all have the ability to understand all these things, and all this information is free for you to tap into. It's up to you. So you have created with us a synchronistic dance reflection of what you already know. We thank you.
I thank you.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up, Bashar?
I am.
Good to see you, buddy. My name's Brian, but you can call me Truly.
All right, truly.
Okay, so everything's all happening at once.
Yes,
Yeah?
it is.
So then it seems to me that this issue of how we dance down the hallway
Yes.
has a lot to do with which frames that we are perceiving.
Yes.
Okay? And one of the previous questions, you were talking about how, you know, there's all these random events, and certain ones of them will drop in according to what our vibration is.
Making them then, at that point, not random at all, but synchronous.
Right. So I think this also has something to do with the manner of the dance down the hall. That
No,
if
all
you're-
right.
If you've chosen you know, to go down there in an unhappy mood, then the random events are going to generate. Things are going to slot in that accentuate that.
Yes, you will
So-
get reflections of what you typically refer to as negative synchronicity.
Okay, so how do you turn that around, please?
By dancing a happy dance. No, not an evil dance.
Oh, that was not the evil laugh,
I know,
Bashar.
I know.
I do have an
I'm playing
evil laugh.
with you.
All right, fine. Okay, so then,
By always knowing that everything that happens in your life can be there for a positive reason. And if you thus then only label the things that happen as being there for a positive reason, then no matter what anyone else's intention in the scenario may be toward you, you will only experience a positive effect from every single situation and scenario that unfolds in your life. Because nothing has built-in meaning. Life, the great gift, is that life is fundamentally meaningless. You are designed to give it meaning, and the meaning you give it determines the effect you get from it. So when you decide that everything has a positive meaning, that's the only way you will experience it, regardless of what anyone else's involvement or perception may be.
so this is how we choose the frames that
Yes.
feel good.
With your vibration. It's the third law of creation, as we call it, What you put out is what you get back. Plain and simple. This is just physics. Physical reality is a mirror. If you're looking in a mirror and you see the reflection frowning, you don't yell at the reflection to smile. You don't go over to the mirror and try to force the reflection to smile. That won't work. But if you smile, the mirror has no choice but to smile back. Now, granted, because you're creating a physical space-time reality, sometimes you may create a little bit of a lag time between the time you smile and the time you see the reflection smiling. And the reason that this happens sometimes is that you're actually, in a sense, let's say, testing yourself. Have I really changed? Am I really smiling? Because many times people on your planet think they will smile if the outside reality smiles first. But you know a mirror can't smile first. So when you smile, no matter what's going on the outside, if you know that it's positive for you, no matter how it looks, then you will have proven, in a sense, to the mirror that the true test of change is not that the outer reality changes to reflect the change. It's that you respond differently to the outer reality, even if it still looks the same. That's the true test of change, and when you pass that test, then the outer reality will have no choice but to create the appropriate reflection. But you must change for your own sake, not because of the change you think you need to make in the outer reality. Make sense? Otherwise, you're putting conditions on your joy. Yes, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if, because then all you're saying is, I'm not happy. So why should the mirror smile? Make sense?
Crystal clear, actually.
Why, thank you. Will that suffice?
Well, I do have one more thing.
Oh, all right.
All right, so just thinking about this whole thing of frame selection and
Yes.
manifestation, the whole, I got an intuitive sense that, at least for me,
Yes.
that there was something kind of mischievously sneaky about what I needed to be doing.
Yes.
So could you speak about that at all?
We are always mischievously sneaky. The idea is that sometimes you will need to trick yourself or attract the idea, as it is often called archetypally, of the trickster into your life in some form to allow you to sort of get your mind out of your way. In many ways, this is what we're doing with some of the information we deliver. And it is one of the fundamental properties of the idea of excitement. Sometimes it will actually, shall we say, euphemistically dangle a carrot in front of your face and make you think that that's the thing that needs to manifest, because it knows that if you think that's what's going to manifest, you'll get off your butt and move. But that may not be the thing that needs to manifest. Sometimes the carrot is just there to trick you into moving because that's what you needed to do. Does that help?
Big, huge gauze of unconditional love to you, brother.
I love you truly. Nania? Yes. 3 only. All right. Just making sure you're hearing us clearly.
Good day to you, Bashar.
And good day to you.
Bashar,
Yes.
I would like to discuss the theme of why I keep on choosing what I say I don't prefer.
All right. Well, we have begun that discussion, but we'll go deeper into it if you wish. The idea basically is to understand that this comes down to what we call the mechanism of motivation. Again, you all have the same mechanism of motivation. Now, are you paying attention?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sir. All right. Very formal. Always, without fail, without exception, automatically and immediately, no exceptions, you will always choose what you define, what you believe to be in your best interest. You will always move away from what you define, what you believe to be not in your best interests. So that should give you the clue that if you look at the motivational mechanism and recognize from a higher level that something is truly representative of your highest excitement, what it's really, really, really all about for you, what you really prefer, and yet you're not choosing it, the only reason that can exist is you've attached a definition or a belief to that thing that makes it appear to not be the preferable choice over the other choice. For example, someone might say, well, yes, I recognize that this is what I prefer, but if you've been taught to believe that choosing that is somehow going to bring something into your life that is so onerous, so unpleasant, then you've associated what you prefer with that unpleasantness. And you will do everything in your power to avoid making that choice as long as you link the negative belief to that preferred thing to make the preferred thing seem unpleasant, more unpleasant than just doing what you're already doing. In other words, what you do is arrange your beliefs, and what you're doing then is choosing what you call in your language the lesser of two evils. Even though what you're doing may be painful, you will always choose what you deem to be less painful than the other choice. So if you're not choosing what you prefer, that tells you right up front you have a belief attached to it that makes it seem more painful than the pain you're already enduring. So find out what you would have to believe is true in order to make that thing seem not preferable, even though you might know from a higher perspective that it is. And when you investigate that, and if you're willing to hear the answer in some form will come. And when you identify what that belief is, you will see that it's nonsensical and illogical because it doesn't belong to you, and thus then you can let it go. But you have to identify it first because you cannot work with what you don't know about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes. And
Yes?
I would like to take it a little further.
Go right ahead.
I was able to identify 3 reasons why
Yes.
I kept on choosing what I chose that
Yes.
I didn't want to.
Are you willing to be more specific, or would you rather keep this general?
No, I'm willing to be more specific.
All right, so what is the thing you would prefer to choose that you're not choosing, and what are the things you have discovered that keep you from choosing it?
All right. The specific issue I have is my weight, which recently passed over 400 pounds.
Oh, all right. So
And-
what are you waiting to do?
Exactly. I've been through a lot of introspection and through
Yes.
a lot of finding out what my beliefs were.
Yes.
I was able to identify, number one, that I was getting ready for apocalypse, and I was getting ready to stocking up, to being strong.
All right.
And I let go of that because
All
I
right.
found it nonsensical
All
and
right.
because I chose not to be in that parallel reality.
Thank you. And what else did you discover?
The second is that I identified that since I've been by myself most of my life,
Yes.
that I needed to be big and strong to intimidate people as a way of protection.
Oh, all right.
The third,
Although, if I may interrupt you for one moment,
absolutely.
and this, of course, is a joke. I am only 5 feet tall and very thin, yet it seems that I intimidate a lot of you people.
All right. Now, the third one is the one where I actually need a little help from you.
Oh,
because
all right.
I think
What's the third one?
when I was a child,
Yes.
about 4 or 5 years old,
Yes.
I had beings coming to the edge of my bed,
Yes.
and they were very scary to me.
Yes.
And right after I saw them,
Yes.
I would start going up towards what I thought. Well, I don't know if it was my physical self or my astral self, but I would go all the way to the ceiling.
All right, one moment. You have turned yourself into a lead balloon, so you will not be capable of being floated away.
That is absolutely right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
There is nothing to fear in that experience.
Yes.
Nothing at all. There really isn't. I promise.
Why was I being visited by these beings?
For a variety of reasons. A lot of it has to do with what has been on your planet called the hybridization agenda. You understand this term? Alien
Yes.
abduction, you understand this term?
Was I part of that?
Yes.
Was my DNA taken?
Yes.
Do I have hybrid children?
Yes.
All right.
Please let go of the fear. It is the fear energy blocking the flow of energy through you and allowing that energy to turn into mass. Let go of the fear, and the energy will flow. And then, when you feel yourself becoming lighter, no need to fear that just because you're becoming lighter that you can be snatched. Because remember, even though your physical mind may not remember, you made an agreement on a soul level to participate in this agenda, for which we are infinitely grateful, because it has given us life. So we thank you for your participation. There is nothing to fear, because not in any way, shape, or form, meaning this to be an egotistical statement, we are the end result. And you have fun with us, do you not?
Yes, we do.
All right. Then lighten up on yourself so that you can rise above the fear.
Will do.
Thank you.
Will I ever see them physically?
It is probable, but we do not know the degree of the probability at this particular moment. You need to become a little bit more the person with whom they have actually made the agreement to appear. So that parallel reality choice hasn't quite been set yet, quite crystallized yet, but in this conversation, you are heading in the correct direction.
Back to my country.
Which is?
Venezuela.
All right. Is that exciting?
Like nothing I've ever done.
Why is it exciting for you? And what will you do? Are you a painter?
No.
Are you sure?
I like to sing, but not paint.
Singing, all
Yes.
right. A painter of words.
Okay.
Songs, yes?
Yes.
All right, one moment, one moment, one moment. You are strongly cross-connected to many different kinds of artistic incarnations. Artistic expression in some form will be very, very, very good for you. Very, very enlightening to your spirit. Yes?
Yes.
Please give voice to your passion, and give passion to your voice. All right?
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such a wonderful mirror.
Three more. Lauren Levin, Sandy Rogers, and Craig Rossi. And would you like me to choose one more since one person?
No.
You sure about
Thank
that?
you very much. Absolutely positive. I think you can tell by our demeanor.
I think I can too.
Thank you for being here.
And to you, good day.
Wow.
The upside
last-
down mom.
The upside down mom?
Wow.
That's good. That's good. This last question from the young man that was just here
Yes.
just triggered a lot for me
Congratulations.
because I feel like an experience I had very young has made a huge difference in my life.
Yes.
And not in a positive way for me.
All right, such as?
Feeling less than
Yes.
and afraid to
Oh,
really
all right.
step out, even though there are times when I do.
Yes. Such as
find,
now?
I find that I retreat easily
Oh, all right. Where do you go when you retreat?
into my own private world.
Your own private world. What exists in that private world, may I ask?
A lot of fear.
You retreat into fear?
It seems to be more comfortable than stepping out.
What do you think will happen if you step out?
I'm not sure. I think that's why I don't step out. I'm not
But you
sure.
say you retreat into fear. So you're not afraid to retreat into fear,
It's
yet
more
you are
it's
afraid to step out where you're not sure what's going to happen.
The fear has been comfortable.
It has become
it's become comfortable.
An old coat,
Yeah.
an old blanket.
Yes.
Oh, all right. One moment. Follow along with me, if you will, in your imagination. Go into that space where the fear is a blanket and see it that way. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Are you wrapped up in that blanket?
Yes.
What color is it?
Green.
Green. Why is it green?
That's just the color that came to mind.
All right. And you know why?
No.
Because it's the color of the heart chakra. You're afraid to feel.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yet, ironically and paradoxically, you feel a lot of fear. Yes?
Yes.
All right. So you're not really afraid to feel because you're willing to feel fear. The question is, why aren't you willing to feel love for yourself?
That's the question.
Yes, it is. That's why we asked it.
And if I knew that answer, I wouldn't be sitting here.
But you do know the answer. Obviously, you have been taught to believe, as you say, that you don't deserve that love, yes?
Yes.
All right. Well, do you understand that if that was true, you wouldn't exist?
No.
Shall I explain that?
Yes, please.
Do you exist? Of course you do. Say yes.
Yes.
All right. So, that means that creation created you. You're part of creation, yes?
Yes.
Do you believe creation makes mistakes?
Yes.
How is that possible? Can you explain how it would be possible that creation could create something that didn't belong in creation? Little bit of a conundrum there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. It is not possible for creation to create something that doesn't belong in creation. If you exist, creation must know you need to exist, or creation wouldn't be complete. Without you, nothing would exist. Therefore, creation obviously believes you are worthy of existence, or it wouldn't have created you. So when you disbelieve in your own worth, you are arguing with creation. And yet the paradox is, your very ability to argue with creation proves that you're worthy of existence. Is this messing with your mind a little bit?
Just a little.
Good. That's what you need. You need a little co-fusion.
Co-fusion?
Yes, not confusion, co-fusion. In your mind. You need to start looking at this from different perspectives, which is what we are helping you do right now, so that you can sort of rattle free from these old ways of looking at yourself and start looking at yourself from a new perspective, through the eyes of creation. There are no such things as mistakes in creation. Everything that exists for a reason, and without it, creation wouldn't be whole. Therefore, you are worthy of creation because you exist. Therefore, stop arguing with creation about your worth. At least begin there. Yes?
Good place to start.
It is a very good place to start because you are in good hands with all that is.
Thank you.
Are you feeling a little bit more of the warm, vibraty love coursing through your heart?
Would that be the sweat dripping down my brow right now?
It's a start. Yes.
Yes.
Do understand that perspiration and tears sometimes are the body's way of detoxifying from toxic beliefs. Tears of joy, tears of relief happen because the idea is that since you are having a physical reality, any belief you take into yourself, the negative ones, will have to have a corresponding chemical signature in your body. But when you finally let go of the belief and you cry because you're suddenly in touch with the fact that you've been holding on to that for so long and now you're willing to let it go and you cry these tears, these emotional upwellings of relief, it's because you are literally washing those chemical constituents out of your body through your tears.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does this help you?
Immensely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our unconditional love to you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you for keeping our appointment.
Absolutely, I had no choice, really.
My name is Lauren.
Because it is the thing I choose. Therefore, since I have chosen it, I have no choice but to choose it.
Thank you. My name is Lauren.
All
and,
right, if you insist.
I live in Phoenix, Arizona, but
If you
I just
insist on that too.
recently visited
Yes.
Hawaii
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
All right.
And I got to swim with the wild spinner dolphins,
How exciting.
some pilot whales and manta rays. So
Yes.
I have a question then.
Yes.
What is the connection between the dolphins and our intergalactic friends from other planets?
They have a very strong connection to the star system of Sirius.
Okay.
And thus then they are in telepathic communication very often with consciousnesses from that star system and from that dimension of reality. Thus then they are very, very good at helping you connect to the Sirius energy as well through their vibration. And also they are very good practice for having contact with what you call extraterrestrial beings. Because they are, in a sense, aliens in your very own backyard. Well, all right, in your very own swimming pool. And thus, then, the more you practice learning how to communicate with the dolphins and the whales, in a sense, the easier it will be to also communicate with extraterrestrial beings. Because there is a lot of similarity. And they do have an actual language. And therefore, you can learn it, and you can actually communicate that way, or you can communicate through vibration, through the heart, telepathically if you wish. It's up to you. But they are very good practice, and they are willing, especially what we call the dreamers. The dreamers are the ambassadors of the cetacean nation that are willing to interact with the humans and help them understand that they are far from alone in the universe. Dolphins have been talking to extraterrestrial beings for thousands of years. They just kind of look at you like you're sort of hard of hearing. Does this make sense?
It does.
Does this
indeed.
help you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Why, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
I've learned a lot today. Thank you.
All right.
My question has to do with cryptozoology.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies was The Mothman Prophecies. I've always
Yes.
wondered, what was the Mothman creature? Was it a real thing?
It's an interdimensional being. Very unusual. Has to do with dimensions of the afterlife in a very, very unique way. A little bit difficult to explain in your language. We have, at another time, talked about the fact that there are beings that live in between dimensions, that that's a dimension in and of itself, and this is one such being. Very unusual fauna, very unusual consciousness, very unusual being, but attracted like a moth to the flame of spirit that is about to transition from physical to non-physical reality.
Is that what explained the Silver Bridge disaster?
It doesn't explain the disaster. It explains the attraction of the being to it.
Oh.
The sudden release of so much spirit from the physical world, like a moth to a flame. That's why it's perceived as a moth. It doesn't actually look like that in its own reality. But it translates archetypally, it imprints itself into your reality with that archetypal symbol, and that's how it's perceived by your senses, because it functions so similarly to that concept of a moth to a flame. And that's how your psyche interprets its existence in your world, as a moth man.
Then who was the Indrid Cold entity? He communicated with this writer named John Keel.
We understand that, but in fact, that name was taken from something else.
Where?
It was taken from a different story and applied in that story representation of those events in your reality. The name is connected in a sense to a different level of reality, but it isn't directly connected to the idea of the Mothman. It is simply that the writers decided that it had the right vibration to send chills down your spine and chose it.
So the Men in Black have nothing to do with the Mothman event in West Virginia? Because I know that those two things are interrelated.
No, not directly in the way that you are meaning it, no.
Okay.
Does this help you?
Yes.
All right, then thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
Comfortable when they sense the presence.
Well, again, this is simply, again, what we have just said. It's the residual of having gone through the experience without knowledge, without understanding, without conscious participation. So yes, it's a form of what you might call post-traumatic stress syndrome, because you were not allowed to know what was really going on by your own people. So the idea now is that you can alleviate a lot of that in the way that we have just suggested. By knowing that there isn't really anything negative going on per se, by understanding that you did make a choice to participate in this as part of the evolution of your own people into the sixth hybrid race, part of Earth's natural evolutionary stepping stones, and by asking for more awareness on a conscious level on your own terms, so that you know you can and always have had the ability to participate more consciously. And let go and forgive the idea of your own people preventing you from knowing this as you grew up in your reality.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
This is a little bit of historical ET information.
Yes.
A question on the topic of anti-Semitism.
Yes.
The idea that the Jewish people are perceived as a special people by others, expressed in a negative way in anti-Semitism. Does it come from the fact that they were in ancient times guided and protected by the Anunnaki, and that their religious ideas were, as a consequence, so different from the existing religions back there that they were perceived to be a small group of elitists trying to influence society?
All right, well, first and foremost, there is actually something in error about that historical recollection with regard to being so different from other people in the beginning in terms of their culture. They were perceived as different because of a more direct genetic connection to the ancient Anunnaki, which was important to preserve for the future of the hybridization agenda to allow Earth to experience its evolution in the way that would best serve it. So the idea is that there was a sensing of that genetic difference that was called out, and because of the negativity that existed on the planet at the time in seeing them as different in that way, a lot of times, again, because of the same reasons people persecute others today, because they're afraid to look within themselves and project that fear on other people when they see something different that reminds them of what it is they contain as well, but they're afraid to look at, then there is persecution. But the idea that their culture in the beginning was so different isn't actually true. The idea of monotheism is actually a very late arrival in the culture of the ancient Hebrew people. The original idea that was really quite prominent in the beginning was similar throughout many different cultures, and that is the recognition, and of course at the time, because of the way they express things, the worship of not only the male principle of the so-called monotheistic God, but also the female principle of the idea of feminine energy, the goddess energy. This was actually quite prevalent throughout the ancient cultures of the Hebrew people, as well as many others. The idea of the suppression of the feminine came along much later, when those who were fear-based wanted to exercise the idea of more control over the populace for their own purposes of maintaining their power. But in the beginning, the idea of the Hebrew people was very pantheistic. They actually worshipped many different gods, and especially the idea of the god-goddess energy of Yahweh and Asherah. These things existed for a long, long time before
somewhere in and about your 530s BC, as you say, was a particular push to eliminate the feminine principle to whatever degree they could and focus everything down to a monotheistic patriarchal God to maintain the church's control as it was growing in power. So first and foremost, please understand that the idea is that the so-called beginnings of the Hebrew people were not monotheistic. They recognized the male and female principle within creation. It only became monotheistic in the way that it is now because of a power struggle that formed much later on. Does that help?
Yes. These questions are specific to Essassani and the Essassani people.
Yes.
The idea that there is a prime facilitator, is this something you've mentioned?
Yes. Again, it's part of the idea of an organizing body that allows for the amplification and magnification of the idea of synchronicity within a society, stabilization of a certain state of being within a society, to allow people a little bit more efficacy in having the discernment between the idea of what they do and don't prefer. So in that organizational body of service, which isn't exactly a government per se, there is what we would recognize as a prime facilitator that is the core of that particular focus of energy to allow for more ability to have that discernment and balance within the society.
And is that active as part of these channelings?
It is always involved to some degree, although the difference in degree depends on what is being done at any given moment. But of course, since it's a part of our society's collective equation of energy, then yes, the prime facilitator is always present to some degree.
So what kind of challenges do you as a people and your planet have?
Well, as a first contact specialist, obviously we have the challenge of our communications with different societies, as we are doing with your world right now. The challenge of presenting information in a way that is capable of being absorbed by those that choose to absorb it is an ongoing and very exciting process for us, because things are changing in a variety of ways all the time, and you are very different from our society, so we are always challenged to come up with more and more creative ways to express these concepts in a way that can potentially serve your society.
And for you personally, how do you allow your sculpting work to leak into your first contact work?
Well, one good example would be the idea of the creation of something we have mentioned before, which is the kind of conical tower that is very tall, made out of 3 strands of our crystalline nanotechnological material that is actually vibrationally representative of your ability to tap into the 3rd strand of DNA, which gives you more ability and more discernment to raise your vibration. So our sculpture, in that sense, in that context, is a very prime example of the vibrational energy we are delivering to you to allow you to tap into more of yourself.
And so will you eventually actually come to the planet?
I am in orbit around your planet, as I said, stationary above Sedona at this moment, but if you mean literally physically standing on the ground, yes.
And what will you do once you're here?
Well, we'll find out together, won't we? Obviously, I will be, in some sense, a representative of my society. And what that entails, we will see when it happens.
Do you have any idea when that would be?
As I said, the idea in general is that there will be others before us. We will be more toward the middle or the end of the window of open contact. So somewhere more after the 2033s or 2040s would be more likely, as the energy exists right now, for us, in our society specifically, to start making more physical appearances upon your planet, though others will be first.
Well, since you're quasi-physical,
Yes.
how does that interact with our physical reality here?
Well, again, we have the ability to adjust our frequency to a certain point, and therefore we would appear to be mostly physical to you at the point when you arrive at being a little bit closer to us in frequency. Because we will be more similar in frequency, you'll be capable of perceiving us as solidly physical. At the same time, you will also be capable of perceiving us in our quasi-physical state as well. It will just depend upon what the moment requires.
And I suppose the ones that would be able to perceive you would be the ones that aren't going to go running screaming because their own shadow is emerging and scaring them to death.
At that point where we actually can manifest physically on your planet, obviously, of course, there would no longer be those particular attributes in the people that we come into physical contact with.
I see. So lastly,
Yeah.
You've said that we are the masters of limitation. So we'd like to ask you, you are the masters of?
We are the masters of communing with the masters of limitation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tadeo. We all appreciate you so much and the wonderful information that you share. And I hope everybody had a good time today.
And will continue to do so, because it is time for your meditation. So the idea, again, is, of course, it is our passion and our pleasure to interact with each and every one of you and all of you together, our deep appreciation for the gift you're giving us and allowing us to do so. And now, please continue to explore the conundrum we have delivered, so that you may allow your brains and neural networks to realign and reposition in a way that will make you more conducive to the great mysteries of existence and bring you closer to the vibration of open contact in time. Enjoy now your meditation. We will now proceed with your meditation. Please, all of you who wish to participate, become relaxed, let go of the cares of the day, and be open as we remind you of the meditation we have termed the conundrum. As you ponder the first concept, a finite number of finite universes. This is an obvious reflection to what your scientists have referred to not only as the multiverse, which in their mind, in a sense, takes place in one particular reality stream, but also includes the concept of parallel realities, which are different versions in different parallel reality streams. But this is all inclusive in this conundrum and its four concepts, so use it however you wish. But first and foremost, concept one, allow yourself in your relaxation, either with music and lights or however you wish to do it, or silence and peace, doesn't matter, or out in nature, with trees and babbling brooks and streams, doesn't matter, whatever is a place of peace for you, whatever allows you to feel, whatever permission slip you would like to use to allow you to feel in a centered place, in a calm place, in an open place, in a loving place, in a creative place, in an imaginative place, do it. However you wish. So again, no matter how negative or hopeless it may seem, to understand that it is only the product of what you believe to be true, and to not heap upon yourself more difficulty by assuming that it is more difficult than it needs to be, by understanding that it is only the product of a belief, by understanding that anything can be used as a lesson in a positive way to allow you to experience something else, by being honest within yourself, by looking around the world and seeing examples of others who are doing things that you would also prefer to do, and knowing that you wouldn't be capable of seeing them at all if you weren't capable of it as well, looking at those things that are positive and knowing that's part of your reality too, and not just being mired down in the idea of what you're experiencing immediately and only within a very narrow set of parameters. If you're willing at all to expand your vision to see that you can be aware of other things other than what you're experiencing, then that should be your first clue that you can divest yourself of the experience that you're having if you understand the reason why you may have co-created it to begin with.
And then when one is in a time of being emotionally devastated, and since there is no such thing as time,
there is the experience of time, even though time itself is a creation and a side effect.
I think the concern was if time's not real and you're in a state of devastation, does that mean that you'll be in that state of devastation forever? Because,
No.
Right.
You won't experience it that way. There will always be some version of reality that experiences devastation. But remember, when you say forever, that's a temporal label. And in a sense, there is only here and now. So in a very real way, even though things exist and can't not exist, saying things last forever is an illusion, because forever is an illusion, because there is only here and now. So we understand that this can seem extremely paradoxical to beings that are focused in a space-time reality, but nevertheless, in a sense you could say things always are, but nothing lasts forever. And we apologize if this seems confusing, but that's the way it is.
Well, when you talked about the film strip analogy and the idea that each frame is there, but it's frozen and it's activated by consciousness, right?
In a sense, yes, and therefore you get to choose the frames by choosing what you believe to be true. So while the frames are, in a sense, there forever, the frame you're experiencing isn't. It changes billions of times per second. Otherwise, you wouldn't be experiencing the idea of time. So in a sense, the experience of time is your first clue that you don't have to experience things forever, because by the fact that you're experiencing time at all means you're shifting billions of times a second, and you're never in the same state. You're never in the same reality, even though you may experience it that way by creating the illusion of continuity.
And in the structure of existence, change is the only constant, right?
Your relationship to the structure is what always changes. And in that sense, yes, although obviously the structure is constant in its own way, that's not what determines your experience of it. Your perspective of it, your relationship to it, your belief about it is what changes your experience of the structure that never changes.
And when you say, are there some parts of our reality that cannot be changed by the individual because they're created by the collective and can't be overridden?
Yes, because you've agreed to play by certain rules. There may be a lot of leeway, a lot more leeway than many of you have been taught to believe is possible. And so you can certainly explore what is relevant for you to experience that might make it very different than the general consensus reality. But there's a lot of flexibility in the consensus, especially in this day and age of transformation. But there are certain things that you don't need to have changed, that aren't relevant for you to change, because if you change them, then you wouldn't be, in a sense, playing the same game at all. So while you have made the choice to play a certain game, or as we often say, walk down a certain hallway, and that hallway will remain because you are that hallway. This personality is that theme, is that destiny, because it's unique. There are many things you can do within that hallway. Walk, run, crawl, fly, happy, sad, look at all the doors, ignore them all. You have the freedom to explore the hallway with a lot of leeway, but you will explore the hallway because that's what you agreed to do as this personality experience. You are the hallway. And therefore, even though you change the expression of the personality, the unique perspective you are as an identity, as a reflection of all that is, that doesn't change. So when you say, this is how I'm going to experience my true identity with this personality structure to explore this theme in this game of Earth, in physical reality, that's what you're going to experience. But like the game of chess, even though you've agreed to play by the rules of chess so that you know you're playing chess and not checkers, or some other game with a different set of rules, there are still a lot of things you can do differently within playing the game of chess in terms of the kind of pieces you use, what they're made of, what your strategy is, so on and so forth. So a lot of flexibility, but you're going to play the game of chess because that's what you agreed to play.
And one of the key things when you're dealing with your theme is whether or not something's relevant, as you mentioned. So you can always fall back on, if something isn't manifesting, it may not be relevant.
At least not at that moment.
Right.
Because again, remember, there are two types of synchronicity. There's the synchronicity that brings you opportunities to act on that become obvious as part of your path. And there's the synchronicity that says, no, this is not part of your path, at least right now, and therefore that synchronicity actually prevents you from being able to move forward in a certain direction that isn't you. So the idea, that's why we always say, is make sure you're clear within yourself that you're not the one blocking yourself from going down a certain path. But if you're clear that you're not really doing anything or have a belief that you're holding on to that's stopping you, then you have to know that synchronicity itself is telling you this isn't your path right now. Go in another direction you're capable of acting on that represents your passion. And maybe you'll come back to this, but right now, synchronicity is guiding you flawlessly by both giving you an opportunity to act on something and also preventing you from acting on things that simply aren't you right now.
And lastly, along this topic, is electricity conscious?
Everything is made of consciousness. To ask if electricity is conscious in the way that you experience consciousness, well, no, of course not. But it is made of consciousness and expresses and experiences consciousness in a completely different way than you do.
Because I know electricity would be connected with the idea of light, correct?
Electromagnetic energy, yes.
Okay, so I think that's where the question was coming from, the idea of, since the light is so written in so many of the text as far as the importance of the light, is it actually consciousness?
Yes, everything is consciousness, because consciousness is simply the expression of existence being aware of itself. It's just a reflection. So the idea is that everything is made out of that same, energy, if you want to say the word energy, or consciousness, but everything experiences itself as consciousness in very different ways. I'll use the word in very alien ways, very foreign ways, ways that you don't experience it as a personality in physical reality. For example, a rock even experiences consciousness, but the way a rock is designed to be a rock, and the way you're designed by yourself to be a physical human, the rock experiences its consciousness by you being conscious of the rock. So it's using you as a reflection to be aware of itself, even though it's not aware of itself directly in the way that you are. It's using you and other aspects of nature to allow itself to be aware of itself, but only by using those other aspects can it be aware of itself in a similar way to the way you consider yourself to be self-aware. So it's a very different form of self-awareness. It's a very different expression of consciousness. So yes, it's conscious, but not in the way that you are.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So we have lots of questions about spaceships and aliens and things you might be familiar with.
Maybe just a little bit, yes.
So this viewer is saying that, they've done certain protocols to be able to make ET contact, and that in doing that, they've been able to, experience a spaceship in the sky and become aware of it. And so once contact is made and there's that craft there, then what?
Well, what do you mean, then what? Keep going. Keep using your imagination. Keep coming up with other ways to let extraterrestrial beings know that you are peaceful, that you are centered, that you are balanced, that your intentions are positive. Keep going. Use your imagination. Expand the protocols. Be more imaginative, be more creative, be more active with them. Come up with different ways of showing those things. Artistic ways, creative ways, whatever you wish to do. But keep going. It will expand, and over time, the extraterrestrials will understand all the different ways you are attempting to communicate this idea of peaceful interaction, loving interaction, creative interaction with them, with us, and eventually it will blend into more and more face-to-face, open kinds of contact.
And that sounds fun.
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
Another question is, can you tell us about Phobos monolith on the Mars moon? Was it put there? Who did it? What's its purpose? And does it have any relationship to any of the monoliths on our planet?
The idea of monolith on Phobos, one of Mars's moons, comes from the ancient civilization that used to abide there millions of years ago, as a sentinel, as a beacon for a variety of energetic and scientific purposes. It is to some degree energetically connected to certain things on Earth, such as certain kinds of ancient obelisks and pyramids and so on and so forth. There is an energetic connection. But the idea is that it is something from a long ago civilization. It still has to some degree some activity within it energetically, but not really according to its original uses, since that civilization is no longer upon Mars in the same way that it used to be.
Was there anything significant about the one that showed up? Was it in Arizona or Utah?
Well, the significance is mystery. The significance is a manifestation of the collective consciousness that now is becoming more open to the idea of exploring mystery, exploring portals, exploring places that might be connected to other dimensions and other realities, so that you become more aware that there is more mystery on your planet than you may think. Because many people on your planet think, oh, we've solved it all, we've seen it all, been there, done that. Well, no, you've barely scratched the surface. So the idea is that your collective consciousness will allow individuals to create certain things and manifestations that will be more mysterious, to start pulling you in the direction of the great mysteries, so that you can really explore both the inner realities as you explore the outer realities, and ask yourself questions that you have to go to a different level to answer.
And could you share with us how the stones used to build the ancient megaliths, some weighing hundreds of tons, were cut and lifted into place?
Well, a lot of vibrational resonance, sonic vibrations were used to cancel the idea that you call gravity, to relocate the locational variable in those objects. But even though they also had certain kinds of technologies long ago that could do some of these things, a lot of the stones weren't cut. They were simply formed in the sense of dissolving them or softening them and sort of treating them more like the idea of cement or clay. So they could be put into place, formed in place, and not necessarily always carried. Sometimes they were held aloft by vibrational resonance, and sometimes they were simply formed in place. Depends on how far back you go with the technology before it was lost, before it was forgotten.
So interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about the different types of grays that we're interacting with?
Well, as we have said, there is what we call the Maz-A, which you call the typical short gray. There are the taller grays, which we call Mazani, which is another hybridization level, another phase of hybridization. Now, remember that sometimes you're also dealing with gray beings and, of course, other beings that come from other parallel realities as well. So we understand that there can be a little bit of a confusing mix of things going on. They don't all blame, in a sense. They don't all come from the same reality necessarily. So you have to be a little bit discerning about what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the beings that you're referring to as the grays, because they're not necessarily all of a type from your reality, or their reality, or other realities may be involved.
One question that came up is whether or not there are factions of the Greys that were actually experimented on and abducted, just like they're doing to us.
Yes, but that's another reality altogether.
So the Greys that we're interacting with were not
No.
subjected. Okay.
Though they did have the same Anunnaki beginnings in their own reality, in terms of being human originally.
Right. So different individuals have experienced abductions, and this individual is saying that they have trouble reconciling their feelings of being violated. And can you talk about that conundrum? Because the hybrid program is such a wonderful idea, and yet the experience of contributing to it was emotionally difficult.
Yes. The reasons that it is challenging for many people is because your society wasn't allowed to know what was actually going on so that it could participate more consciously. So the idea is that since this information was suppressed, since you were not given the ability to prepare yourselves to understand what you had chosen to participate in as a species in your own evolution, as well as the evolution of the Greys in creating hybrids such as ourselves, then many of those experiences were traumatic. So the idea now is to understand you can ask to continue to experience these things on your own terms by understanding that you did agree to participate in this, even though you may not remember it, and that it doesn't have to continue to be traumatic for you in any way, shape, or form, as long as you are asking for the ability to enter these things on your own terms, experience them on your own terms. By not being afraid of what's going on, you will not experience them traumatically. And it can also bring about some of the healing of what you did experience traumatically by understanding that they simply didn't necessarily have the wherewithal, the Greys, being that they created themselves to be an emotionless hive mentality in order to succeed in the hybridization agenda. You can understand to some degree that they simply couldn't relate to what you were experiencing for quite a long time until there were enough hybrids to know what you were going through, and thus starting to temper those experiences in a much more conscious way, allowing people to be more conscious and participate on their own terms. But the idea of the trauma really comes from the fact that your own society never really allowed you to understand what was going on.
And for this other person that's to this day unable to sleep alone and still has the need to feel like there's somebody in the room when they sleep because they feel so
I will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. We will once again extend to each and every one of you our deep appreciation in allowing this particular transmission and communication to take place in this way, which affords us the opportunity to expand our own consciousness as well as sharing with you some ideas that can help to expand your own. Let us begin. We understand that we are having this discussion, this get-together, as you say in your language, this day of your time, for the purpose of talking about the subject of money. Now, yours is not the only planet that has it, but it is one of the few we have encountered that does. But that's all right. It is unique, it is valid, and since we understand it is one of the ways your planet works, we will talk about it in direct terms. Now, the idea to understand, first and foremost, is this. Do not mean to disappoint you, but I will not be telling you how to win the lottery. That is first and foremost. I will tell you this. You have the ability to win the lottery, but you must understand that it has to be keyed to the strongest excitement within you and has to be an all-consuming focus or an absolute knowingness for you to allow yourself to fall into the appropriate slot where that can synchronistically represent itself to you as one form of abundance on your planet. It can be done, but that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the idea of how you can attract more money into your life by whatever methodology you so desire. Now, yes, as a very brief recap, yes, it is for the most part based on the idea of following your joy. Absolutely, because that is fundamentally who you are. your excitement, your vibration is who you are. By acting on your joy, it is far more likely that you're going to put yourself in the proper place and time to see the opportunities that can allow you to act upon them to bring you more money in your life. Please do remember, and we will get into this in another way, in a new way in a moment, but please do remember that abundance really is only the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. It can be money. It doesn't have to be money, but it can be money, and because that is the subject of this discussion, we will focus on that. Now, what we are really saying here, in terms of giving you more of an opportunity to attract more money in your life, is we are helping in this discussion to uncover and to clarify your relationship to money and abundance. Your relationship to money and abundance. Because that is all it takes. That's all that's required to allow money to come pouring in rivers, in waterfalls into your life. Because the universe is abundant. Your planet has all the money it needs for every single one of the individuals that we are talking to now in this gathering, and many, 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 many more to become what you call millionaires. More than enough for that. Remember, one of the reasons that is so is that not everyone needs or wants to really be a millionaire. So the idea is that for everyone that is truly excited and attracted to that experience, there is enough for you to become a multi-millionaire. There is. After all, you create the idea of money. You can create what you need. Not saying that you should run out and print it. We understand your laws frown on that. But you can create what you need. You can attract what you need in your life regarding as much money as you have ever dreamed of. One of the things that we have said that does go hand in hand with this, of course, is the degree of your activity, the degree to which you put out that you exist on a level that is commensurate with receiving a lot of money in return. For individuals who are simply limiting themselves in certain ways are actually giving off a message that they don't really want or need that much money. But by expanding your expression of self, you give off more of a signal to reality, to the mirror of the universe, that money can be reflected in the degree of expansion you are willing to provide, you are willing to exhibit. Now, let us talk about three primary ideas. This will be new approaches for you regarding the concept of money. And remember, what we are doing is we are attempting to shake up, dislodge, deconstruct, then clarify and reconstruct and relodge your relationship to money. Because you don't have to do anything but relate to money differently than you do in order for money to come flooding into your life. But the fact that many of you don't have a clear relationship to money is the thing that prevents that money from coming in. So, let us begin with the first of the three ideas. Now, to some degree, you've talked about this concept before, and the concept that we will now present to you in a new way is the concept of definitions, and specifically definitions that contradict one another. Remember, your beliefs, your definitions, are what create your reality. Now, one of the things we have said is the idea that you are raised with a number of conflicting ideas about money. One of the ones we have given you already is that when you are growing up, most people, especially in your culture, will say, in order to be successful, in order to be looked at as successful, in order to be considered successful, you must make a lot of money. And again, in the next breath, in the other ear, they say, but money is the root of all evil. That means if you become successful, you are going to be evil. You really do take these concepts to heart. You really do. And when you do, you create this conflict within yourself, this battle, this war within yourselves that doesn't allow you to move ahead. And it sours your relationship to money. And it builds tension and stress within your body because you are literally tearing yourself apart. I want to be successful. I want a lot of money. I will be the devil himself if I become rich. What am I to do? What am I to do? As we have discussed, the idea is to get in touch, of course, with those definitions and clarify them so that you understand that these are not things you must believe in. That you don't have to connect the idea of being a bad person, of being evil, so to speak, with the idea of having money. You don't have to believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely, because it only does when you absolutely believe that it does. That's the point. You need to find your definitions and weed them out, lay them out clearly, separate them out clearly, disentangle them from one another clearly, so that you can understand what you are dealing with, what you have to work with. What are the tools you have at hand? What are the definitions that give you your relationship to money? An example that was recently provided is the idea that because you have entangled your belief systems up, you can be thinking that you want one thing, and you don't seem to be able to get that one thing, and you can't figure out why you can't get that one thing, until all of a sudden you realize that if you got that one thing, it would mean that you would have to do this other thing that to you is something you don't want to do. And so because it is something you are absolutely 100% against doing in your mind, you will make sure that you prevent yourself from getting that first thing that would give you or force you to do the other thing. When you connect things together that way, then you will never be able to allow yourself to see clearly what your relationships are, because it will all be caught up and wound up in a bunch of different cross-conflicting belief systems. Let's now look at one we have not discussed before that on the surface may not seem to be very profound, but again, remember, all these things sink into you, and when they do, even though the original idea may on the surface not seem to have a lot of power, when you apply the same principles unconsciously to other areas of your life, they can absolutely stop you cold, stop you dead, as you say. Let's look at your idea of your monetary system. Now, when your money, your idea of money, your value for money, the value you have placed on your money, when the value of your money becomes less, you say your money is inflated. What kind of sense does that make? You say that something that gets bigger gets smaller. That something that gets smaller gets bigger. And when it all of a sudden has more value, you say it has deflated. Is it any wonder you are confused? No, not at all. Again, this may seem arbitrary, but stop and think about it. These are the kinds of signals that you have been giving yourselves and have been given to you for years concerning money. There is a very important thing to understand behind this. And that is, you need to look at money in exactly the opposite way you have been trained to look at money. In especially this case, the idea, first of all, of whatever this core value is that you have arbitrarily assigned to the idea of money, that you all agree is the worth of the money. But then once you have done that, you go throwing your own system out of whack, out of kilter, by labeling this value as fluctuating in such a manner that the label is exactly the opposite of what it is doing. Allow yourself to begin right now to reverse that idea. Let's use this example, and I will take you through the exercise now briefly, but understand why we are doing this. Everything we are now going to discuss in all the examples we will now give you may on the surface just sound like words, and you may walk out of this seminar, as you call it, afterwards saying, well, all right, I heard a lot of words, and maybe they made sense, and maybe they did not. But what is actually going on here is this. The things that we are sharing with all of you now on this subject are specifically designed to get under your skin, into your sub and unconscious selves, and dislodge, to start to break up these locked-in, deep-seated definitions and belief systems about money that you've been carrying with you through your whole life. So when you walk away, you may think, well, that was nice, those were words. You will actually walk away beginning the process of breaking down all of these ideas. It is like we are now giving you, tossing into your brain, a little time-released acid capsule, meaning the acid that dissolves, not the drug. The idea being that that capsule will begin to break down, and as it does, it will begin to seek out and dissolve all of those conflicting, contrary ideas and beliefs, and will start to unravel the tapestry, so you will begin to examine them one at a time. All of a sudden, you'll find yourself beginning in your dreams or in your waking state to start seeing one at a time those individual precision definitions that have been wrapped up with other ones. You'll start to break down your ideas of your relationship to money. That's what it is that we are doing here. We're rattling your cage, rattling your consciousness, and allowing you to deconstruct who you have been so that you can go through the process of reconstructing who you are and thus reconstruct the relationship to money that you have had into something new, into something abundant, into something spendable, tradable, on the open market, on your planet. And that will be you. You are the commodity that needs to be traded, that needs to be spent, that needs to be exchanged. You are the thing of value. You. Before we go on with this exercise, I will tell you that in time, not right away, but in time, your planet's quote-unquote monetary system will actually finally be based, and this is what it is heading toward, be based on the skills and abilities people have to offer. And there will be, not a government, but an organizational body that will put people together based on the skills they have to share with the people that need those skills. And synchronistically, everyone will find exactly who they need to provide what they need, and in turn will provide to others what they need based on who they are. But until that day, I understand that you want big fat wallets. And so let us proceed, because that is what this subject is about. So, with regard to this idea of inflation, deflation, let us look at the idea now in your minds. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, it doesn't matter. But if you will, see the idea of what you call one of your dollar bills, and see it getting bigger, inflating, in the literal sense of the word, so that it is bigger, and along with it, and congruently, it is more powerful. You have more spending power in that dollar because you're making it bigger. Bigger. Now, stop it there at a certain size, whatever that size may be. Or if it's stopped by itself, that's fine. Now, let it shrink. Don't worry, it's all right. You can always inflate it again. There's more than enough air. Let it shrink. Down. Tiny, little itty-bitty piece of paper. So small, maybe it would just blow away in the wind like a speck. Little tiny dollar. No value, or almost no value at all. Can't even grab it, let alone spend it. Can't convince anyone it's a dollar because it's so small you can't see it. Now, let it come back to what you consider it to be normal size. Now, look at it carefully. Don't adjust it. Did it come back slightly smaller than normal size and stop, or slightly bigger than normal size and then stop, or did it come back exactly the size you have always seen it? There are ways to tell. Allow yourself in your own mind to understand by taking a good look at it, by having in your imagination someone else walk in and put a dollar bill down next to it as to whether it wound up a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. This will tell you the beginnings of what value you consider money in general to have. Whether it is really worth more or worth less than what you call the going rate. And this keys strongly into your relationship to money and your relationship to yourself as to whether you believe you are more or less than the going rate. Whether you have the ability to be a commodity worth exchanging, or whether you fall a little short. Now understand, please, this is important. Nothing that we are saying here today is about becoming a materialistic, egocentric, money-grubbing person. We are not talking about the idea of forming a fixation on material goods, but it is all right for you to attract material comfort in your life. There is a balance. You all know that. I don't really have to say it, but it's too late. I already did. So relax and let go of any worries any of you might have had about the idea that, oh, we're focusing so strongly today on the idea of getting a lot of money, but I don't want to be seen as a money-grubbing miser. I don't want to be seen as someone who hoards their money. You really are, I will assume, simply looking for that primary balance point that allows you to feel the freedom you know you deserve to feel. Yes? 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 All right. Just want to make sure you're awake. Now, let us go on to item number 2. And here is a very, very powerful equation. Very powerful. You don't have to believe me. No matter how many times I say it, when you learn to use this tool, you will see it's very powerful. Why? Because it is the essential structure of how you attract money. And as all essential structures, it is built on paradox. Most of you are brought up with different ideas that, taken all together, allow you to create in your mind and in your heart a particular cumulative, reactive, emotional effect. This particular cumulative, reactive, emotional effect is generally as follows. If I don't have enough, or what I think ought to be enough money, then there's nothing I can do. I am sunk. I am stuck. I have nothing to work with. This is the general reaction most of you have to what you typically call a low level of income, or an almost non-existent level of income. You feel stuck. You feel incapable of really moving ahead. What I am going to tell you now is that this is the most powerful state you can be in to generate money. Not just for what you might typically think, oh, because I'm at the bottom of the barrel now, all I have to do is move up because up is the only way I can move. Yes, that's true, but that's not the point and not the mechanism. Here is the idea. Pay attention very, very carefully. It is simple, but it might take you a moment to understand how to use it and how to apply it. But when you do, or are you going to take off like a rocket? Oh, all right, you're going to take off like a hyperdrive spaceship. Now, creation is nothing but abundance. In, let's just put it colloquially, creation's infinite wisdom, you were created with exactly what you need to create more of whatever you need. Let's go over that one more time. When you find yourself standing in a room, outside, wherever it may be, and you feel, let's just say, oh, destitute, if that is how you feel, let's just take that example, nothing like extreme, to get your attention. You must understand the first part of this principle, very important in this paradox, in this power, is you still have at that moment every single thing you need. Every single thing you need. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example that is a metaphor in a sense, but realistic. Let us say you fancy yourself an artist. Now you're standing there. You have nothing. You think, what does it take to begin? What does it take to begin to be an artist? To draw something? Well, you say, well, I can't pay for the fancy paints. I can't pay for the fancy pens. I can just barely afford a pencil. Well, I know this is going to sound strange, but you know, people on your planet, when they didn't have fancy paints, when they didn't have fancy pens, when they didn't have pencils, used sticks. And they burnt the sticks to create charcoal, and they drew on cave walls. Some of the most beautiful art, you still think so today. Those cave paintings are extremely sophisticated, very beautiful, and compare with almost anything in any of your museums. And you know this. The point is they knew they had what they needed at hand. This is something you have forgotten because you have been surrounded with the idea that in order to be who you are, the only way you can do that is to have the fancy things. This is a notion I would urge you to get over now. Right now. It doesn't serve you. You don't need the fancy things. Don't be disappointed. We're getting to the point where you can have all the fancy things. But you must understand this is a two-part principle. It's a two-part principle. And it goes something like this. I'll just give you the formula right now. And you'll catch on, but we'll go over it again. Are you paying attention? Are you sure? Doesn't sound like all of you are. Okay. You convinced me. All right, here it is. Here's the formula. Let this sink in. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less to get more. One more time. Pay attention. It's very powerful. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less and create more. And after all, isn't that the idea behind what you call entrepreneurial spirit and being truly abundant? That you don't actually really have to do that much, that you don't really have to work that hard to bring in truckloads of money? Isn't that the idea? But how do you get to that point of not needing to do so much and yet bringing in so much? The way you get to the point of not having to do so much to make so much is finally learning to begin the process by learning to do more with less. That is the training that your consciousness needs to understand. When you accept, when you allow it to be all right, as an artist, to go back to our illustration, when you allow it to be all right to know that you can still be an artist in every sense of that concept, not lacking a thing from that concept, of its expression, of its heart. When you know you can be an artist with a stick, then you will understand how to do very little to bring to you any other tool of the artist that is possible for the artist to have to be able to express yourself on any other level you want. Remember, this is based on the idea that the greatest power, the greatest expression of power requires the most delicate touch. When you feel powerless, you attempt to move things around a lot to get them to work. You think you have to exert a lot of pressure. You think you have to exert a lot of force to make something happen. But if you stop and think about it, think about the power of creation itself. When you really are powerful, then all it takes is the slightest nudge of your little finger to move mountains. Because you are that powerful. And when you are that powerful, you don't have to exert yourself. That's the point. So when you know how to let it be all right to do what you need to do with what you have, that you can do more with less, you will empower yourself and enrich yourself and energize yourself to such a degree that the cycle will be completed. The circuit will be closed. You will use both sides of the paradox, and you will begin to see that as you become more powerful, you will need to use less of the power to accomplish more. But you've got to start by opening the gates of your imagination and by allowing yourself to understand that you, just as you are right now, without anything, you can accomplish what you really need to accomplish for yourself in some fashion. And you need to stop measuring the idea and comparing and contrasting and conflicting the idea that just because all you're capable of doing is making a picture with a burnt stick, that somehow that means you are not the artist you want to be. You've got to stop that now. Or none of this and anything else we're going to say will make any sense. Do you understand that? It's all based on this formula, on this principle, and that's it. That is the secret to money. The secret to money. When you know that you can do more with less, you will require less to do more. You need to train yourself to understand this. You need to train yourself to live this way. You need to train yourself to remember this so that it is your first thought. Not your second or your third or your last, your first thought. It is your priority. It is your job. It is your duty to yourself to understand how much access you have to everything, and that access requires almost nothing. Nothing. All you have to do is be willing to stretch and expand your definition of what it is you are and allow what you are capable of doing to be part of that definition instead of excluding it and saying, oh no, people who draw with burnt sticks are not artists. They're not the artist I want to be. Yes, it is. In every way. In every way. Now, while that's soaking in, let's go on to a third point. Did you all bring your coins? Is there anyone who doesn't have a coin? All right. Now, remember that we suggested that it be, in your terms, a real coin. It is all well and good for you to be creative and make up coins or draw pictures of them, but we are now in this exercise talking about the idea of real money, in your terms, Would you rather have real money or would you rather have an abundance of paper coins? All right. Get out your coins as you have chosen them. It doesn't matter whether they are pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, 50-cent pieces, dollar coins of any kind. It doesn't matter. Make sure it's a coin you believe is a real spendable coin. More than likely, I will leave this up to you, but more than likely you may want it to be a denomination from your own culture so that you really feel you understand what you consider the value of that coin to be, rather than working from something that comes from another country on your planet. So, have you all got your coins? All right. Now, we're going to play a little game of exchange in the following way. I want one volunteer that has a penny. Who's got a penny? All right, stand up. I want one volunteer that has $1. All right, stand up. All right, now, I'm going to ask a question. Both of you, in whatever order, do you have a favorite candy? Do you have a favorite candy? Chocolate. All right, chocolate. Chocolate. You have a favorite candy? Both say chocolate. All right. All right. Now, person who has the penny, person who has the $1, all right. Exchange. Have you exchanged? Have you exchanged? All right, now you have the penny? Yes. And you have the $1? Yes? Yes or no, do you? Yes, $1. Oh, all right. Are you sure? I think. $1, yes. All right, thank you. All right. But it is $1, yes? Yes. All right, thank you. All right, now, who got the best of that deal? Well, it might depend on a lot of things, but in general, your society would think what? I scored. You scored, all right. And you? I lost. All right, you lost. Now, you with the $1, hello? Yeah. Thank you. You have now come upon a vending machine containing your favorite candy. The vending machine is one of those nice, charming little glass bubble jobs. It only takes pennies. Oh, no. Now how valuable is that penny to you? How valuable all of a sudden is that penny? Can we trade? Go ahead. I don't know. It might be worth about $1. Trade them back. Do you get the point? Relative value is not just the idea of what monetary value you have given to the coin, but what its value is to you at any given moment in any given situation. You can be walking down the street and you see that wonderful, delicious chocolate in that machine and your pocket is full of dollars and you need a penny. Now how rich are you? Not very. Not as rich as the person with the penny who can waltz right up to the machine and plunk it in and get that delicious chocolate. Because the person with the penny now has the ability to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it. And you don't. You have to go find someone to change the $1. You go through a process, all well and good, but the point is already made, is it not? All right. I want you to look at the coin you have brought. You may sit down and relax if you are not already doing so. I want you to look at the coin you have brought. I want you to understand as you look at it that you are really, truly, truly developing a relationship with this coin. You're going to marry this coin. Yes, marry this coin. Every single one of you. So I would suggest that if it's not the coin you want to marry, you better get another coin out right now. However, remember what we just did. Remember what we just did in the lesson that was learned. Don't think, oh, I've got a penny, I better trade it for $1 quick. If you chose the penny, maybe there was a good reason for that, and maybe your imagination is saying it will work for you, and it actually is the perfect marriage for what you need in terms of discovering your relationship to money. It has nothing at all to do with the idea that that means you're only going to be getting pennies for the rest of your life. You can get dollars, you can get millions of them. But understand that this is about the relationship to money. And if you find that it feels better emotionally in your heart to marry the coin in your hand and not judge it by its so-called value, which we have just proven worthless in certain circumstances, then maybe you will let go for the moment of the idea of the arbitrary value and begin the true relationship to find the real value of money to you. The real value from your heart, not your head. Now, we're going to digress just a little bit, but not really. There is something very important you all need to understand. A few of you may have heard of this. Probably most of you have not. All of you know this empirically, but most of you think of it only as a metaphor. Most of you know that your heart knows things. That your heart is smart. Not just your head. Your heart is smart. It has now begun to be discovered on your planet through, of course, let's validate it, scientific research, verifiable, scientific, repeatable, experimental research, that the intelligence of the heart, cell for cell, is greater than the intelligence of the brain. Literal intelligence, literal awareness of its own. It has now been shown, and many of you have heard these anecdotal stories that are now being scientifically verified, that when a heart patient receives a transplant, that many times they begin to actually take on the characteristics of the person that donated the heart. This has now been proven true. That the intelligence is actually in the cellular memory of the heart. And that it actually will make a difference and change the person that receives it. In one case, just to drive the point home, so that you understand that this is not arbitrary, and that they're not going off of these little subtle measurements and, oh, well, it could be that, or it could be this. A person was murdered. The heart was taken out of that person and given to another young girl. The heart was able to tell the girl who the murderer was, and he was caught. Based on the recipient's memory of the murder from the heart. This is real, solid, interactive energy and intelligence. The point is that this relationship to money must come along with the heart's understanding as well as the head. It must be holistic as a marriage is holistic. It must not be simply intellectualized. Again, please understand, we are not talking about becoming egocentric, money-grubbing, money-crazed misers, materialistic fiends who give no thought or care for other people's welfare. But what we are really talking about here that will make all the difference is that you really must learn how to develop and have a love affair with money. A true marriage with money. And if that's going to happen, you have to understand how to listen to your heart as well as your head. Because what they have discovered in addition is that the nature of your brain is that it wants to create, for purposes of clarity and processing, divisions, compartments, so it can understand how things relate. But what the heart wants to do is simply relate and be in love with everything and everyone. So, what we're going to do now is to learn to be in love with this coin, to marry this coin, and you're going to understand that by marrying this coin, you're going to marry all money, because it's all one thing. This is a representative of one thing, a whole concept, an entire event, a whole intelligence. Money, exchange, trade, value given, value received. It's one thing. This coin is your partner. Let's begin the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of these witnesses and surrounded by our loved ones, so that you and the coin may be joined together in holy wedlock and understand this is sacred. This is sacred. This is sacred. Are there any objections to this? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Do you take this coin to be your lifelong partner, your lifelong friend, your lifelong lover, to reflect to you in sickness and in health, for richer and for richer, to reflect to you that you are worthy of infinite and unconditional abundance and love, to reflect to you that you are not separate from life, to reflect to you that creation holds nothing back from you, to reflect to you that this with yourself, that this relationship to this coin is the relationship truly of your worth, of your expression of creativity, of your expression of willingness to be who you are. Do you take this coin to be your unconditionally loving and loved partner forever and ever? Do you, little coin, take this human being to be the reflection of all that you represent in terms of your ability, in terms of your potential, in terms of your expression of creativity and abundance? Are you willing to allow this being that is your lifelong, unconditionally loving and loved partner to be the conduit and the channel to represent the ideal of what you are, to represent the ideal of ultimate ability and worth? Do you, little coin? All right. I now pronounce you minted. Now pay attention. You may kiss the coin if you wish. Now, listen, 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 listen. Usually before the honeymoon, and take this to heart in all forms of the meaning of the word, there is the reception. This, in its own way now, and I do not mean to be sacrilegious to anyone, this is, in this moment, a sacrament. It is sacred. 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 Take it in. Receive it. It is your reception. But receive it in your heart. See, feel, imagine the coin moving into your heart, through the skin of your chest, through the muscles of your chest. Actually feel it as you hold it up against you. Feel it. Feel it. Feel it going into your heart. Feel it floating in the blood in your heart. With every beat, feel it. And with every beat, understand, that beat is automatic, it's autonomic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything to force it. It is abundant, 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 abundant. No matter how fast, no matter how slow, it is abundance, abundance. I love you, abundance. Now, as you physically take the coin away, understand that that coin, its essence and its connection to all money, is firmly, thoroughly, permanently imprinted into your heart's cellular intelligence. You have just shown your heart what you mean by money, how you feel about loving yourself enough to be abundant. You have just talked to your heart and allowed your heart to understand how to cooperate and participate in conjunction with your brain, your spirit, your body, mind, soul, the cellular memory of all your organs, that you are literally reeking of abundance. You breathe it in, you breathe it, you sweat it, you live it, you drink it, you eat it. Every single thing is a representation of abundance. You are immersed in a sea of it. You are drowning in it, but in a good way, because you can breathe it. You can breathe that rich golden liquid. You are married. You are married. You are married. Really, truly married to this coin. Till death do you part. And so it is. Now let's begin the honeymoon. All right, Yahoo. Oh, let's go shopping. All right. I suppose for many of you that is a heightened sexual experience. But well put. Well put. Now, a honeymoon is exactly where you want to be, what state you want to remain in for the rest of your life. And you can. You can. Because now you are married to the very essence and concept of money. And now the life you make together is up to you as to how you will experience this. And again, please remember, on the surface, this sounds like nice words. Oh, nice ideas, nice stories. These stories now go deep, very deep, into your consciousness. Because, why? Because no longer is just your head listening, your heart is paying attention. And believe me, when your heart pays attention, look out. That's why you say you take it to heart. You really make it your own when your heart pays attention and lets it in. You are now beginning to make it your own. This is going to sink in. Every day, you're going to remember everything that's been talked about in this exchange, and you're going to start seeing inspirations. You're going to start feeling possibilities. You're going to start being more excited about acting on opportunities and creating opportunities. You're going to start seeing everything as an opportunity. You're going to start getting excited about more things. And if there should be a moment in the honeymoon where you feel you want to be a little more withdrawn, want to be alone, maybe feel a little bit sad, it's all right, because all emotions will be part of your relationship and your experience with money. And when you learn that your heart can handle it, that it's okay to feel these things, you will learn how to take those emotions. And in feeling them and accepting them and acknowledging them, they will become exchangeable commodities. They will turn into valued items that you will be able to use, learn from, glean things from, that will only add to the momentum of your honeymoon, your perpetual honeymoon with money. Honey. So perhaps this is more of a money moon. You are now on a perpetual money moon. Now, understand that generally when you choose to go on a honeymoon, you choose to travel to exotic places, maybe, or just relax in the hammock in the backyard. Whatever is a honeymoon to you, but that's the point here. Allow yourself to understand, very importantly, that abundance will come to you at the level that is truly abundant for you, that it will come in your way. You don't have to be abundant like someone else in order to be abundant. And again, remember, you can have as much money as you really want. You really can. And when you stay in this vibrational state of the money moon, that will be the vibrational frequency in which that abundance most easily can come, in the same way that when you are in a state of being on a honeymoon, you can easily call up room service. You can easily go here, go there. And many things are simply provided for you. Many times you have heard it said, and it is true, that people, when they are rich, don't always have to spend their money. People, when they are rich, find themselves suddenly perplexed by the number of people wanting to come up and give them things. You will generate an aura of abundance that will allow people to want to increase that abundance for you. Again, please don't understand this as, oh yes, I'm going to make everyone my money slave. Oh yes, they're going to kowtow to me because I'm so great, I'm the big money mogul, and I am going to get whatever I want wherever I walk in, and I can be careless and rude, and I don't care. They're always going to bow down to me. It's not what I'm talking about, and you know it, and you know it. So I don't have to say it, but too late. But you will find, as a general principle, again, that when you allow yourself to learn to do more with less, one of the side effects of then having to do less to get more will be this. Your presence vibrating in love with abundance will trigger a love abundance reaction in others who also want to feel that way. And one of the ways they will then express that is by giving you things you could easily buy, but they will give them to you. And when that happens, because it will, then your response needs be the essence of grace, the essence of gratitude, the essence of humility. Go back into the understanding of doing more with less, knowing you don't need the more to do what you need to do, and in knowing that, thus creating the ability to doing less to get more. And in that state of gratitude and grace, somehow, some way, return the gesture and give to someone else. Allow yourself to increase someone else's abundance. It is always, no matter in what form it's expressed, it is always about being of service. When you fall into your excitement and stay in your honeymoon, you are in love. And you want to be, your heart wants to be in love with the world. Express that where you feel it is appropriate. I'm not saying you have to lose your head. You don't have to be unbalanced about this idea. But when you know, when your heart talks to you and you can hear it, you can feel it, then be of service. And believe me, one of the most fundamental principles, again, and you have heard it, but you'll hear it again. When you enrich others, you will be enriched. You will be enriched. You will be enriched. And now that you have begun to change your relationship to money, then part of your enrichment flow will contain lots more money. as well as other forms of enrichment and other forms of abundance. Remember, you are rich. The universe is abundant. You are abundant. What you're simply learning here, again, is to change your relationship to allow the abundance that is already available to you to fall like pennies from heaven, to shower you with riches, to let go of the conflicting conundrums of paradoxical definitions that don't work for you, that tear you apart. To unravel them, let them go. To see clearly that you are created, that you are a loving person, that you are a loved person, that you are a rich person, and that this can translate in physical terms and in monetary terms. There is no reason why it can't, and there is no reason why you can't, unless you give yourself a reason not to. It is in your hands. It is in your control. It is all around you. Opportunities are screaming at you all the time. But your state and disconnection from your heart creates a deaf ear to the ringing opportunities that you are presented with constantly, incessantly. There is no vacuum in creation. There is not a second that goes by when there isn't a sparkling, ringing opportunity for you to become, as you say, stinking, filthy rich. You can leave out the stinking part if you want. Though some people might like the smell of money. That will surround your aura and be your aura when you really, really, really let it in. Are there questions? You. Good day. And to you, good day.
I just wanted to hear what you had to say. I'm sure you're aware that in the Bible it actually doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is
yes,
the root
I
of all.
understand that.
So could you sort of
But
clarify?
I wasn't actually quoting your Bible.
Right.
I was simply quoting the phrase that most of the people in your culture use.
Right.
The idea, however, expressed in your biblical literature is what we are talking about when we talk about the idea of becoming too involved in the materiality aspect. In other words, the love of money in the sense that you feel that your worth is determined by the money, instead of the money being determined by your worth. You understand the difference?
Yes.
Does that clear it up for you?
Good.
Thank you. You.
With children who
Yes.
are at risk, who are in jail because they've stolen cars or done
Yes.
drugs. And I was talking with one young man today who's facing 30 years
Yes.
and using a gun. And it breaks my heart because I want to try to give him some solid advice on how literate and they don't have skills that...
Do you remember what we said? You are created with everything you need as who you are to generate some beginning momentum in the direction of the expression of who you are and the reflection of abundance that comes with it. You must fully understand and take to heart what we mean when we say that and how literally we mean that before you will be able to pass that on to him or anyone like him. But that's what you need to get him to understand, is as he is. Get out of this, I don't have the skills, You do have the skills to be who you are. You have the skills. You don't need to be taught anything to start this rolling, because creation in its infinite wisdom knew it was setting you down on a planet with nothing but the skin on your back, and knew that was enough, and that the rest is left up to you as to how to express your ability to take that, the skill of being you, and turn it into any other expression of abundance you want to mutate it, to transform it in any way you want to. But what you have to begin with and what you need to understand and take to heart is that if you are simply just dropped on the planet naked, you've got all the skills you need to be you, and thus to act on the opportunities that are specifically germane to your heart and your excitement and your passion. And by acting on them and using your imagination and your inspiration, you will be able to dig yourself out of what may seem to be the most impenetrable, deepest, blackest hole, if you will go back to the basic of understanding that you can with almost nothing. When you learn that, you will know how to transfer that to him. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You!
Hi, Bashar.
To you, good day.
I'm really enjoying the synchronicity of my past week and what's happened here this evening.
Make it one statement or one question.
Okay, I will. I don't know if it's mathematical or relationship, but I walked my horse up the street and helped somebody else's horses, and a couple days later, I drove past and he was there. And I remembered what you said about stretching at this time.
Yes.
So I parked my car and I went over to talk to Herb. And I told him about that he had to fix the boards, okay? And I asked if I could move my horse onto the corner of his property at the beginning of June. And what ended up happening was he showed me the house and offered it to me for rent.
All right.
And I was so interested in him. I guess I enjoy seeing potential. I said, Herb, what are you into? And he said, well, I'm taking a class and I said, and what? And he said, well, it's called Excel.
Yes.
So what is my relationship to him at this point? Because
there's no way I can answer that for you.
Every time I move, I never have the money. I have to create it. And that's part of my
That's what this
experience.
interaction is all about. But in you having the ability to recognize that synchronicity is ever present for you, you can take that to heart and understand that if you apply everything that we have talked about in the way that we have talked about it, you will understand very clearly what is the next thing you need to do. And that's it.
All right, thank you.
You! Keep this simple, everyone. It really doesn't need to be complicated. That's the beauty of it. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm just talking about that in general.
Bashar.
Yes, good day.
Hello. I need to ask you about tithing.
Tithing, yes.
Mm-hmm. I do
What about
tithe.
it?
I do tithe, but is that a necessary requirement of us on the planet to do that in order to create more abundance?
It is not necessary to tithe specifically in the format that you are referring to, but the idea is that, yes, it is necessary, in a sense, to give and support. Do you follow?
Yes, I do.
It is necessary to help others become abundant. It is necessary to serve. Whether that actually takes the literal form of tithing or not is not the issue. It can, but it doesn't have to. There are many ways, in a sense, to be of service. There are many different kinds of tithing. You follow?
Yes, I do, and I do service as well, but I
Yeah.
do tithe
Well,
to
that's
a
up to
spiritual
you.
organization.
It's
but
completely up to you.
Okay.
Completely up to you. Are you following me literally? It's completely up to you. Does that help you?
Thank
you. You.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It certainly is. Thank you. I've had this sort of like an intuition and it's about money.
Sort of like an
Okay,
intuition.
pardon my awkwardness, but I'm framing this
Yeah,
as I go along
Oh,
here.
all right.
I'm being creative.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm having a good time, too.
Thank you.
I have this feeling that rather than sitting on money, which kind of means like fear of using it, that by sharing it and keeping it moving around and giving gifts and doing the things, you know,
in some senses,
it's
yes.
more a positive
In
approach.
some senses, yes. At the same time, this is where many of you get into what you call thorny brambles. Because the idea is that sometimes many of you may be doing that not really as a mechanism for flowing money, but as a reaction to a feeling of lack. And then you get yourself into trouble.
How can we tell the difference?
Well, that's a very good question. How honest can you be about your self-evaluation?
Well, like the other day, I had been thinking there was an SPCA kind of drive, and I
Nice.
wanted to contribute some money. And I thought, well, you know, I like having money in the savings, but on the other hand, it means a lot to me to share with the people who are helping these creatures.
All right.
So it just felt like the right thing to do.
All right.
Another day,
And did what you shared allow you to feel that you had the ability to both share and remain abundant, and in sharing increase their abundance and your abundance simultaneously?
It felt
or
like...
did there feel to be at any moment any kind of an awkward imbalance?
I was very comfortable with it.
All right. Then perhaps in that measure and in that occasion and to that degree, that might be in balance for you. That's what you have to determine. Is this in balance? Sometimes, yes, you will find that you can make a grand gesture with absolute conviction and faith that it will be replaced many times over. And sometimes that will occur. But understand that what we are talking about here today are the underlying fundamental dynamics to begin to rattle loose within you all the different definitions, all the different belief systems within you that would go hand in hand either with allowing that to work for you or with creating the apparency of self-sabotage. That's what these exercises are all about, is to help put you in touch with which one is going on in your behavior, and which one thus is an explanation for your actions and your desire to do a certain thing relative to the taking in of or giving out of money. Make sense?
Well, not totally. May I tell you what my thinking was and get your response to that? Well, what I was thinking is I prefer to live from my higher part, the part of me who shares and is not concerned about money because I know it's always there. It always has been there. And before that money was in the bank, I was worried about where it was coming from, and that money came. So it's going to keep coming. I just thought I'm just going to just enjoy it and keep doing whatever I'm doing and not be concerned about it.
All right. Then thank you.
Okay.
Then you will arrive in your own good time at any such places as might crop up. I'm not saying they will. As might crop up that will show you whether or not you are continuing in balance. And again, of course, remember, one of the fundamental ideas for why this seminar was requested and created was to also put you in touch with circumstances and situations that would allow you to actually expand and increase your monetary income so much that you wouldn't even have to stop and think about whether or not you could or could not help someone like that.
I
Do you
like
follow?
that much better. That's much more pleasant to just flow and just keep flowing.
All right.
I like that better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You and then you. Number two, do you know who you are? All right, number one, good day.
I just wanted to ask if there was any significance to the little coin.
Those are a creative creation that acts as a synchronous mirror so that each and every one of you has the opportunity to instill meaning into it because it is fundamentally neutral. You follow me? You can instill your own value in it as a monetary exercise. You can allow yourself to apply to the idea of any single coin, or what might be a placeholder for a coin, a value as low or as high as you prefer it to have, so that you understand that and get used to the idea that a single coin could actually buy you anything you want, instead of having to use many such coins to do so. That is the point of that blank coin, to function as an exercise of non-denominational value, so that you can instill the denomination you prefer to have and can change that denomination anytime you wish, so that you gain the exercise of flexibility with regard to relative value and your ability to use less to get more. Does that help you? Thank you. Number 2.
Bashar, thank you so much for enriching my day.
And you for enriching ours.
You're welcome. Before I came, I wrote down a question or a thought, and it was that I have difficulty in asking for money.
Yes.
For service or goods.
All right.
This has been a lifelong. However, through the things that you've shared today, you've really helped me through this, and I was wondering, at this point, is there anything more you may want to share?
One of the things that you have now brought up, synchronistically, will be an exercise to some degree we have talked about. It is a very valuable exercise, and I would highly recommend that you add it to all of the other processes and ideas that you take away with you from this particular seminar, and that is to literally take some time to write out all your beliefs about money, positive and negative, to write them down. I have difficulty doing this. I have difficulty doing that. I'm afraid to do this. Money is this to me. Money is that to me. If I have this much money, I feel this way. If I have this little money, I feel that way. If someone were to give me this much money, if I were to win this money, how would I feel? Would I deserve it? Write all your beliefs about money down on paper so you can see them outside of your head. That is a very powerful exercise to help you learn to get in touch with what beliefs and relationships you have had and help you form healthier relationships in the future. Do you follow? On the other side of the coin, allow yourself the opportunity in this exercise to also know that all of these things you will write down, they are really valueless in and of themselves. They are empty, they are props, they are smoke, they are mirrors, they are weightless, they are massless, they have no power, they have no substance. All these ideas that seem so powerful are only powerful because they are borrowing your power to come alive. Do you follow? When you thus look at them on the paper, you will understand that they actually aren't worth the paper that they're printed on, much like your money. Pun intended. Now, thus then, to coin a phrase, allow yourself the opportunity to understand that it is you that gives value to money. It is you that gives value to beliefs and ideas. It is you that determines what the coin of the realm shall be. When you are trafficking in the exchange of beliefs, when you are on the belief stock market, put your stock in what you prefer, and do not be swayed by the motion of the market that has nothing to do with you. You set the par value for your stock. In your reality, in your value, in your worth, you set it. You own stock in yourself. You own all of it, 100% of it. You can't give any away. It is not, in that sense, distributable. So, understand that what you say it means, what worth and value you give to these beliefs, is where they get their power from. And the same goes with the ideas and your relationships to money. It takes its power from you. in order to be spendable. You follow? Then bank on that. And you will earn a lot of interest. Interest in yourself. You understand? Never ending, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling. Interest in yourself over and over and over again, many times over. Each and every one of you. Allow yourself to understand that this is all it takes. This is all there is. Money is not a mystery. It does not have to seem alien to you, even though it might be foreign currency. The exchange rate is completely predicated on your willingness to rate yourself and exchange old ideas for new ideas and empower those instead of what has been given to you, instead of what you have inherited. You will now set the mark, set the value, set the stage. You are your own business. You will grow as such. Make your business the business of being yourself. Make your business the business of serving others, and help them become rich. And I guarantee you 100% without any reservation, when you help make others rich, you will become rich. Ponder all the things we have said. Use them all and incorporate them all. And don't leave out the heart, or it'll pout. Our absolute and unconditional abundance. And remember, you are never alone. Always, always being guided. Good day to you all.